Hey guys, 2 minutes on pallor mortis, and this is the first stage of death. So pallor mortis is the paling of the body. So about 15 minutes after someone dies is when you might first start noticing the paleness, and this happens because the blood is no longer circulating in the body, and so the blood gravitates away from the exterior of the skin and the top portion of the skin, and so the skin appears pale. This does happen in bodies of people with darker skin. The melanin does not change within the skin, but the redness does dissipate and fade away. And so with embalming, that redness is then restored. But so the pallor mortis is on that exterior top portion of the skin because that blood is pooling down towards the bottom, or whichever area is on the bottom of the person. What happens also during pallor mortis is a thin film starts going over the cornea of the eyes. Now, sometimes when people have even brown eyes, they appear to then have blue eyes. So there is a common conception that everybody gets blue eyes when they die because of this pallor mortis that sets in and covers over the eyes. This sets in usually about 2 hours after death. However, it also depends whether the eyes are open or the eyelids are shut as to how soon you can notice this on the eyes. So pallor mortis, 2 minutes, that is the first stage of death. Okay, so we're going to do 2 minutes on algor mortis, which is the second stage of death. This happens right before rigor mortis begins. And this sets in almost immediately. The body begins to cool down, and that's what this process is. Now, if someone dies in, let's say, the desert, their body's actually going to heat up to the ambient temperature. However, in most standard cases, a person's body temperature is going to lower until it reaches the ambient stage. So if someone's put into the cooler at the hospital within an hour or two of death, their body is going to cool until they reach that much cooler ambient stage of the cooler that they are inside of. Now, a body loses the heat through 3 different means: convection, conduction, and radiation. It begins in the extremities of the body, so the toes, the hands, the head are all going to cool down faster than the rest, and it works its way into the core. So you see on like NCIS where they stick in the liver probe to test the temperature of the body right away when Ducky comes in. Well, more often than not, they may use a rectal thermometer to check the temperature, but you can also use a hypodermic needle in the liver or in the brain to check the temperature as well. Investigators will use this to determine time of death or an approximate time of death. So ambient temperature is critical. Conditions of where the body is, what they're wrapped in, what their setting is are all critical to figure out what the temperature of the body actually is. So this is all algor mortis, second stage of death. Bye. Hey, here's your 2-minute introduction to rigor mortis. So rigor mortis is that hardening of the body or the firming of the body. This sets in 2 to 3 hours after death. Fast forward 24 to 36 hours after death, and the rigor mortis has gone away. Now, the muscles have not just relaxed. What has happened is that decomposition has begun, and it's gone into the tissue, and so the tissues in your body are starting to decompose at that point. What creates rigor mortis? It is a protein reaction that happens within the muscle. So it has nothing to do with your bones itself. So what happens is the myosin and the actin connect in your muscles to create a contraction. As you breathe and create oxygen, it creates something called ATP, which busts those apart normally. Well, when you're not breathing, you're not creating oxygen, there's no ATP, so they remain locked. So your muscles remain in a locked position. Now, if you're in a very vigorous activity and there's a lot of oxygen going on and you die quickly, your body goes into a cadaveric spasm. And so parts of your body can lock up. We see this sometimes in hands that are locked or mouths that are locked. And so the funeral director does what's called breaking of the rigor. And this happens with anybody that has rigor in it. Sometimes it's just bending out of an arm or bending of a shoulder, or moving of the legs. The more rigor we break up, or the more proteins we can break down within a muscle tissue, the more embalming fluid can go out into those tissues. So we're not actually breaking a bone, we are just moving the joints, moving the muscles to break up that protein so we can get fluids out into them. Now, rigor mortis sets in quicker when there's heat or when there's less muscle tissue, like in a child or an elderly, and it takes longer in somebody that is has more fat, or when it's colder. So post your questions below. That's 2 minutes on rigor. Bye guys. Hey, so we got 2 minutes on livor mortis, and that's liver with an O, not an E, and this is the 4th stage of death. This comes right after rigor mortis, and this happens about 2 to 4 hours after death. So livor mortis is the settling of the blood in the body. So when the heart stops pumping, gravity takes effect and the blood starts gravitating to the lowest points. So whether a person is laying or sitting, that blood is going to pool down to the lowest parts of the body and in the lowest parts of the organs. So you'll notice a purpling or a reddening at those lowest points. Up to 12 hours, it's called non-fixed, and that means that the blood can hopefully get recirculated and out of those tissues so you don't see that staining. After 12 hours, they say it's fixed. So there may be staining of the tissue that we cannot get moving again during embalming, and so there may be darkening of those areas that blood is pooled in. This is especially noticeable if someone has died face down or on their side, and that tissue in the face is stained from the blood settling into it, and we can't get that color circulated out. So this is also called hypostasis or postmortem lividity, and you may hear postmortem lividity especially in crime shows and in movies. This is important for crime shows and movies because if a body is in one position and then moved, they can tell because that blood will have pooled in one area, and then if the body's moved, it will pool in a secondary area as well. So livor mortis, stage 4 of death, pooling of the blood. Bye guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Live.
Of videos and could delete or edit anything. The footage started getting deleted once her mother arrived at the hotel looking for her. So this means the owners or the police are not covering up for an employee. Okay, so I get Rosemont this. They're probably not covering up for the employee. You understand what I'm saying? The owners or the police of Rosemont probably not covering up for an employee. They are honestly believing that the employee, which is the security, and the edited videos, and the employee shows them because they just by looking at the videos, you know. If something happened and you call the cops, it's a fight, it's a disturbance at my hotel, boom, we're gonna think logical. The cops gonna come on the scene, right? Boom. The first motherfuckers they gonna ask to speak to is who? The security. Because the security controls what? The cameras, the tapes, the footage, the security. They not gonna ask to speak to the manager for what? You at the front desk, you don't see what's going on these cameras. The security have all that access. The security. Think about that. When the cops came, they went right to the security and showed us the tapes. They showed them the tapes, all of it edited. They took him out. Oh yeah, she walked in there by herself. So now the cops thinking, oh, she was drunk, she was intoxicated, she's a black girl, she's at a party, drugs involved. She did it by herself. So now the fucking security's off. They, oh my God, we got off. That's how they think, and they got off. You understand what I'm saying? Hold on, let me break it down a little bit more.
Been at the computer watching the monitor. Now who fell asleep? Because when you seen her there, it should have sent an alert off where we got somebody down here in an unrestricted area.
What time on the video was she? What did it show? What time she got in there?
Yeah, they got the time on there. I got to look back on my file. I got those in the car.
Okay.
I got to look back on there, but I commend the police department out there. They not rushing to judgment. They looking at time on everything. They showed me time on the cameras, time here. They done ordered everything, even outside technicians to come in, because when they give it out, they want to give it out by the time and the minute.
Also breaking tonight, hours of new video are released revealing more about a woman found dead in a hotel freezer. CBS 2's Audrina Bigas joins us now. So you poured through this video. What is it showing us?
36 hours of video, and this was just released to us a few hours ago. This video shows Kenneka Jenkins walking into the kitchen, but we never see her entering the freezer. And tonight, that is why her family is not satisfied with the theory that she walked into the freezer on her own. Surveillance video shows Kenneka Jenkins walking with friends at the Crown Plaza Hotel early Saturday morning. We see her a few hours later by herself. At one point, she stumbles out of an elevator. Later, she repeatedly hits the wall walking down this hallway.
Not only that, it wasn't until Bree got back that they even started to look for her. Come on, y'all. Make that shit make sense to me. It don't make sense. I was expecting them to be like, yeah, you know, we called Bree because we couldn't find Kenneka. Like, girl, where you at? When you coming back? We can't find Kenneka. None of that. You know, or even Bree saying like, yeah, you know, Monifa.
There's nothing, man. And when we was in the room when they first started looking for, like when they first came back in, like we said, it was like everybody went, it didn't hit everybody yet. They called the room and they was like, yeah, you got a group of girls in going around the hotel. They're causing a big disturbance. You need to get those girls back in the room, or we're gonna have to put them out.
What?
Like, what? We're like, dude, y'all serious?
Our friend is missing, and y'all talking about the disturbance that's going on.
It's a disturbance. They making noise.
So the misconception on social media that motherfuckers didn't go look for her, when the truth is everybody went looking for her.
Because there wasn't a lot of people, like 6 of us all
Six
that. All to the end. Every motherfucker gone. There wasn't a lot of motherfuckers.
But everybody
gonna take everybody. That's how everybody got up and like. Once it hit, like we hit home, like everybody like
serious. Once the girls
everybody got they got with that serious face, like we it snapped into us. We it looks up, we everywhere, part of it, looking around.
You have.
Looking at the reports today and some of the redacted stuff, which tells me it was like reports that were Freedom of Information Acted or things of that nature, but the Cook County reports that I got are pretty disturbing to me. Now, one of the things that brought a lot of attention to me, or things that perked my interest, were when the family was on the Dr. Oz show. And there's some more footage of Kenneka here, walking down the hall. And during that Dr. Oz interview, Nancy Grace specifically asked why hadn't they checked her fingernails for DNA. Well, according to these reports, they did. And for whatever reason, they didn't publish that or make it public. Now, that's a concern for me. Now, here's another concern for me. Now, in reports, I can understand that the police are trying to secure a crime scene, so to speak, right? You can do that with tape. Now, it was never addressed by Roosevelt, or Cook County, for that matter, if this wooden door was there before or after the incident. And I haven't found anything online with basic searches, and that's kind of concerning to me, especially where you can see it's zip tied. But do you see this right here? That shit glows in the dark, man. This shit right there glows. And the only reason why I know that, shout out to everybody that's ever worked like a minimum wage job if you were a kid. And now look, I'm almost 40, and I can remember that knob 20 years ago. And I can remember being at Wendy's or whatever. Oh, Long John Silver's, that's what it was. Long John Silver's, like 20 years ago, and getting out the freezer by pushing that button. Here's another discrepancy I found in the video, right? Something else that was missing. Now, this is an air conditioning box, right? Now, that should clearly be shown. Now, there's a couple of things that have been missing on the ceiling. Now, Kenneka's mother said that there was a camera in front of the freezer. Now, supposedly, all of a sudden, that camera's not there. Not only is that missing, but this AC box is missing. Go back and look at the video with the cop with the body cam walking through. You don't see it. Now, for me, that's a concern. Now, in the paperwork that I got, now it's digital files. It's not like they don't FedEx me friggin' paperwork, all right? According to the paperwork, they did find DNA under Kenneka's left hand. Like, almost, not a defensive wound, but like skin. They found, now, I don't think Kenneka was a girl that was like scratching her scalp or some shit, and if that was the case, then why don't you just come out with that? Why did you hold that back? If that's in your initial report or your notes, why haven't you published that? That's a concern for me. That sounds like somebody didn't want something to know what was going on. Now, here's the thing. Now, listen. Now, there's other documents in there about who Kenneka may have been talking to outside in her personal life, and I really don't want to get into that because I don't want to disrespect that woman or her family. But I will say this. It wouldn't surprise me that if Kenneka had relations or been dealing with somebody that had something that had to deal with some kind of power in Cook County, if something didn't happen, somebody intentionally gave her something in her drink and made sure she went that way. Because why else would she go into the kitchen, right? 0.11? Yeah, okay, 0.08 is drunk. You can go to jail for that. But 0.03 over the legal limit doesn't make you walk like you're like 9 levels of fucked up. I'm sorry. That shit don't make no sense. So, in the documents, staff, and according to video before the incident, when they time-lapse the video back, this mark is not on the wall. Okay? Now, this is the mark from Roosevelt Police, right there. Bloop. Okay? And here is the mark from the footage from the hotel. Now, according to hotel staff and the report, a report filed by said police department, and this is part of the stuff that was leaked out by Anonymous, or shot my way. I'm sure I'm not the only one that got it. This wasn't there before, so that would indicate signs of a struggle at some point. Now, there's also lapses in video that the hotel hasn't released. Now, that could be the police department and or the prosecutor or the district attorney in that area saying not to release that footage, or they didn't release that footage on purpose, depending on who else is in that footage. They also didn't release the DNA report that they ran on the Starbucks cup that was found in the kitchen. Interesting why that wouldn't be released if you ran it. I don't understand that. It also came in the paperwork that I got. It doesn't name a person, and usually that's not how that works. But here's my concern. These reports, the documents, supposedly come from Cook County, and they also come from the police department. Why haven't these documents, if the police department or your coroner, if they detected signs of a struggle, why wasn't that put into a report that was made public? Why, when you did the autopsy and you got, this drives me so nuts, as soon as you found a foreign substance in her bloodstream, you should have immediately gone over the entire body. I'm not an ME, I'm not a medical examiner. Yeah, under the left hand, fingernails, index and middle finger, and you didn't run that DNA? What are you doing? What did you do with the evidence that you collected? That's insane. And we're gonna go ask some questions. And I gotta know. Yo, why didn't you release these reports? I gotta put these reports in their face with the names of the people that are on them and ask, why didn't you publish this? Why didn't you talk about this? How am I getting this from an hacktivist group? Why is a hacker sending me this shit and you're not taking this, or you haven't publicly come out with this? Why is this woman's mother like asking for questions and me, you sending stuff to me? And I'm sure it's not just me though. I'm sure Anonymous sent it to other people too. So I might not be the only one doing a video on this today.
Another camera catches her running into a stairwell and then catching her fall. Video time codes appear to show Kenneka roaming the hotel for over an hour.
She's trying to find her way, and no one from Crown Plaza Hotel responds to her.
Also considering a second autopsy. Rob and Erica, that's because there's still a lot of unanswered questions tonight.
You know, it's curious because we heard that the authorities were going to show the family the 36 hours of surveillance tape, but clearly they haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, they said they had not seen that video, and they've been requesting it for about 48 hours.
All right, Audrina, thank you.
But 12 hours, they end up finding her body in a freezer in an area that was under construction.
From what I recall, Larry Rogers, when she was found dead from hypothermia inside an industrial-type refrigerator there at the bottom of a pretty high-end hotel, her pants were pulled down around her hips. Her shirt was pulled up around her bra. Her jeans were filthy, as if she had been dragged along the ground. There were abrasions to her knee area, her legs, her face. There is no way This is accidental.
Around 3:30 a.m., Kenneka enters a lower-level kitchen in the hotel. She walks out of frame, but then she's captured walking here on another camera. But we still don't see her entering the freezer.
she was trying to find her way out the freezer. She done fucking herself up. Cut her foot. Just dropping shit. She was freaking out. When you drunk, you feel it.
But isn't there a button on this?
Negative 20. It don't matter if you use the button. Like, if you drunk as fuck, the way that toy is in that freezer, if you drunk as fuck, you're not gonna open it up. You're not even gonna think. She was more than drunk. Like, she was off that pill. Nobody know what that pill was, but the detective, they came to my house, talked to me about that shit. All the way from the Rosemont.
So who slipped that in her drink and why?
Girl, but then ain't nobody gonna snitch. The girl, you could see the girl that slipped, but ain't nobody on her ass. So what they saying is that basically she shouldn't have took the drink. You feel me? She shouldn't have took the drink. There's a sad incident that she died because accidents do happen like that. Motherfuckers get into the car.
So you seen her? Okay, what happened when she walked out the room by herself and said like she forgot her phone or something like that?
They took her phone.
They took her from
the friends. It's all the friends. I got an auntie that died like that. Friends got her drunk, burnt her alive. Out of jealousy, she was a mom. So everybody, that's the shit that was pissing me off because that social media shit, it clogged everybody head up. They thinking, oh, this what happened. Nah, that ain't what the fuck happened. Like they like, oh.
But how come in them videos that look like?
A friend that work here. Hey, I'm the only black motherfucker.
I know for a fact that her friend didn't work here because I watched another video she said she worked at like a hospital or something like that. Yeah. But how come it looked in the security cameras? How come there was multiple red boxes and there was only her walking through? Like it was detecting another person walking. And then how come they took forever to release the videos and shit? Why wouldn't they just?
Because they didn't have enough evidence. Was nothing because when you go to the
floor, it's not working.
So far as in this hotel probably being affiliated with another hotel, but the owner being affiliated with that traffic, the ordinary traffic shit, that's probably true. But
so on September the 14th at about 1:35 in the afternoon, the police went to conduct a door knock at one of the Crown Plaza Hotel employees' residence. Okay? When they got there, that employee was not there. Okay? They didn't went to this nigga house. Okay?
You know the owner?
The owner, he don't seem Jewish. Jewish, which I got.
Alright, he's definitely selling organs and shit.
On September the 15th at 9:30 in the morning, the police went back up to the hotel and spoke with another employee number 4. They met with this employee in the supervisor's office in housekeeping. The first fucking thing that this employee told them was that he did not want to speak in front of his supervisor. So he must have thought he was. Like his supervisor was going to be in on this interview. But I found that odd that that was the very first thing that he said.
We gotta rewind all the way back to see who the friends was. Shit, they thought I was with her. Hell no, I went with that girl. I went with her at all.
So you were working that night?
Oh,
She died?
At 5:30. She died like around 1 or 12. Like,
Well, every little noise in this hotel scared me. Like I feel like everything's a camera. And then you walking behind me and shit when I'm in the basement, I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna push me into a private room. It's over with.
That's people that's coming here. The police would have been heavy on y'all. That's the police heavy around. But
I just wanted to see for myself, like how did she, I don't understand how she walked into a freezer.
she walked in the drunk actions because.
So even when it was cold, she didn't turn around. So she just felt the cold and was just like, oh yeah, let's lay here.
Even I had to think about that shit when I get home. When motherfuckers be off drugs, they be sweating.
Oh, her shoe off and shit.
They be hot.
Her shoes were off. And then there was multiple lip glosses, so I thought, like,
that too.
who put her?
Fucked up. They said, but like I said, I think it was a friend. Isn't anybody gonna jeopardize their job? Hell no. Everybody that work here, no, ain't nobody gonna.
I just feel like it's weird because, like, they took so long to, like, release videos.
Yeah, they didn't have another. What it was, what I told them.
How did they not have enough evidence, though? Security cameras is so hard. It's so easy to bring them on there.
Think about that. We're not gonna release no video, but we gotta investigate. We gotta see what she had. We gotta
So that means she wasn't there, according to them.
According to them, she wasn't there.
Okay. So who found Kenneka in the freezer? And did they find her just by accident, or did they find her because they were looking at the videos?
Okay, well, when we was there, the Rosemont Police Department stated that they're the ones that found Kenneka. But with me looking at the news and reading in the newspapers, an employee found her. So that's a good question. I really